As she said, I'm here to share information about all of the issues we'll be voting on this election. We went to a meeting, a statewide GOP meeting in August, and received information on every ballot measure. So in addition to the candidates, there are 7 issues, different issues that we're being asked to decide. And the easy way to remember it is F yes, yes, vote yes on F, and no on the rest. So let's get started. Amendments on our state constitution are designated by letter. There are 4 of them on the ballot this time: E, F, G, and H. Those are all amendments to our state constitution. We have 2 initiated ballot measures. Those are brought forth by petition, and those, there is a lot of money coming from out of state on these issues, and they've spent a lot of money to make the petitions, to get them on the ballot, and to get them in front of the voters. The last one is called a referred law 21, and I'll start with that one. So referred law 21 was originally a state Senate bill 201, and there was a fairly large group of citizens that were opposed to this law. They went to Peer and tried and fought hard to get the bill killed before it passed. But our legislators passed the law, they put it forth to the governor, she signed it into law, and it became, Senate Bill 201 became law in South Dakota. It deals with CO2 pipelines, eminent domain, and permitting. That same group of citizens felt like they had been completely ignored, and so they went out and gathered double the amount of signatures to refer the law back to the voters. That's why it's called a referred law. So those who oppose the law, it's very technical, and I am by no means an authoritative on this, but those who oppose referred law 21 say that it's deceptively written. It's very vague about public disclosures, especially if there's a catastrophic event. It gives authority to the legislature, taking it away from the local counties. Municipal and county authorities, their authority for land use, zoning, building rules, regulations, and ordinances. In the state of South Dakota, there are approximately 300 county commissioners. This law would take away some of those rights from all of those county commissioners and give it to the Public Utilities Commission, and that Public Utilities Commission is only 3 people. So it takes away local control. And in the fine print of the bill, while it gives authority to the Public Utilities Commission, it also restricts their discretionary powers. And 11 of the legislators that voted in favor of Senate Bill 201 have already been voted out of office through the primary process this year. So I encourage you all to do your own homework on that issue. Like I said, I'm not the authority on it. You can get more information from South Dakota notforsale.com. So if you go on the internet, sdnotforsale.com, and you can get more information on that. Let's talk about Initiating Measure 28. This one is commonly referred to as a repeal of the grocery tax. It prohibits the state from collecting sales or use tax on anything sold for human consumption, except for alcohol and prepared food. So, but the funny thing is, there's no state definition. There is no definition of human consumption. So what does that mean? It will require litigation in court for the states to figure that out. If this gets passed, there will be lawsuits. It was purposely written with vague language, and if they only wanted it to be groceries, food, and beverage, then why didn't they use that terminology? They used for human consumption, which would include items such as cigarettes and vaping products, toothpaste, toilet paper, trash bags, body wash, anything that you buy and then you consume, you use. So depending on the definition, up to 93% of sales could be considered for human consumption. And the Legislative Research Council estimates an annual loss to the state of between $133.6 to $646.2 million annually, depending again on the definition of human consumption, what items are used for human consumption. And here in the city of Custer alone, that could mean between $400,000 and $500,000 per year of lost revenue. So the bottom line is the state and municipalities will have to make up the difference. And they will either do that through budget cuts or through new taxes. It's just the way that one goes. Initiated Measure 29 legalizes recreational marijuana. It allows individuals over the age of 21 to possess, grow, ingest, distribute marijuana or marijuana paraphernalia. And this is another one that has millions of dollars coming from out-of-state dark money to get this in front of the voters and to get it passed. To give you an example, this last legislative session, there were 6 paid lobbyists on the floor that were trying to get this bill put in front of our legislators. And that money was all coming from out of state. Colorado, Oregon, Washington State, and California all have similar recreational marijuana laws. And just a few statistics, and this is all out of Colorado after they passed their recreational use marijuana law. Their usage increased 26%, and the saddest one, I think, is that marijuana was found in 34% of the teenagers aged 15 to 19 that died by suicide. Traffic accident deaths saw an increase of 138% of drivers who tested positive for marijuana. Employers experienced a 55% more increase in industrial accidents, 85% more on-the-job injuries, and 75% higher absentee rate. So the way they're selling IM29 is that it will be taxable and that the state will get lots of revenue from all the tax on the sales of marijuana. But if IM28 passes, marijuana is for human consumption, so it will eliminate that tax and it won't be. And they've purposely written both of them that way. So let's talk about the amendments real quick. E, F, G, and H. Amendment E changes the generic male pronouns in our state constitution to the title of the office or the general classes of persons, electors, or public officers. Seems like a simple change, right? Currently, our constitutional language clearly does not prohibit women from holding public office. So why go to the bother? This also opens the door to future amendment proposals that would possibly include any miscellaneous pronouns that we come up with in the future. And there's also been no estimate of what the cost would be to change and reprint all of our state documents. So it's an unnecessary change. We don't know how much it would cost. And so Amendment E, we're saying no. Amendment F, that's our yes vote. Constitutional Amendment F would allow the state legislature to establish a work requirement for able-bodied Medicaid recipients. In 2022, voters approved expansion of Medicaid eligibility to individuals and families up to 138% of the poverty level. So a lot of able-bodied people are now eligible to receive Medicaid. In 2022, that amendment also prohibited the state from even considering a work requirement. So this Amendment F fixes that language. The state already has other social programs with work requirements. This Amendment F would allow exceptions for those physically or mentally disabled, individuals with young children, people going to school, or actively seeking employment. So there are exceptions. Amendment F, if it passes, because it's a federal program, the work requirement, if our legislators did enact a work requirement, it would still require federal approval. So a Trump administration would likely approve that, where a Harris administration likely would not. I feel very strongly that social welfare programs are a hand up when people are facing hard times, but it should not be a way of life. And Amendment G establishes a constitutional right to abortion. The amendment uses the same guidelines as the abortion laws in California and New York. They are selling it as women's health care. Medicine heals. Abortion is not health care. Our state, out-of-state money, again, millions of dollars are coming into South Dakota, but we are not alone. We are not the only state facing this issue. There are abortion issues on the ballot in 10 different states this year. And again, this one, the wording is purposefully vague, but the two most important reasons to me why this should be an absolute no is that it legalizes abortion up until birth, including after the baby is viable out of the womb. And the other one is that it denies the parents the right to know that their juvenile daughter has gotten an abortion. So that's a no vote. And the last one, very quickly, Amendment H. H stands for horrible. So H is no, and that one's known as open primaries or top two primary elections. It affects the governor, state legislature, U.S. Senate, House of Representatives, and our elected county offices. This too has received a lot of out-of-state money. There's a political action committee called Unite America, and in 2023, they put forth $450,000 to get petitions out there and to get this on the ballot. This amendment establishes the same kind of primary that they have in California and Washington state. All of the candidates run against each other, and all of the voters may vote for any candidate. The strangest thing about this law is that it allows a candidate to list any party next to their name regardless of their party affiliation or their registration. So you could have in an open primary, you could have 2 Democrats as your final choice, or you could have 2 Republicans as your final choice. It's just not right. So that's it. Remember, yes on F and no on the rest. I hope that you found this information helpful, but I would again encourage you all to do your own homework before you go out and vote.